What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, Mel. Another wacky weekend out the way, brother. What's going on with you?
Same old. We had a good weekend. We got rained out Friday night against Cuyahoga Heights, and we were scheduled for the next day. So 11 o'clock in the morning, we up game time. As far as I'll say, as far as excitement factor, that was along the lines of the Lutheran East game. Going into
Oh,
halftime,
nice.
it was 10-7, and we went back and forth for a little bit, and then
Hmm.
we just turned it up. Defense got a couple stops we needed. Off it, shout out to Eddie, man. Like on some real live coach to coach. Like this guy is dynamic. I got to give the defense credit because the defense was really where it was. But Eddie, Jack, Manny,
Hmm.
Kelly, those guys are awesome. They kept the team together. They showed grit, and they helped get the win, and that was what was important. And this weekend we will be fighting for the division crown against Independence. So
Ooh,
we're gonna walk in Monday. Yeah, we're gonna walk in Monday. It's all well. Actually, I can take that back. Before we walk in Monday, our JV's got to take care of business because since we got rained out Friday night, their Saturday got moved. So we gonna handle this like gentlemen. We
hmm
go to Cuyahoga Heights and take care of business there, and then we going on to Independence.
that's what's up, man. Y'all rolling.
Yeah, and like I said, man, it's a great group of guys, man. Couldn't ask for a better group. Could not ask for a better group, and that's the beauty. It's the beauty of these guys, man. They want to learn. They want to listen. They want to get better. They want
Hmm.
to get better, and that's all due to the seniors and the juniors that were there and are buying into the system. So and our staff, as I told you a couple weeks ago, a couple weeks back, our staff does a great job of preparing these guys. So, shout out to Coach Perella, Coach Slade, just the entire coaching staff. Because they get it done. They get it done. All right. So you said it was a crazy weekend. So let's get into that. Let's dive right into that. In the world of NCAA football, Alabama went down.
Man.
Alabama, down goes Bama. So they lose to Texas A&M, and uh, I'm I you I called it. I did call this one, but
Hmm.
what I'm gonna say is that this was something I thought I would be wrong about because one, it's Alabama. Two, Bama is looking for uh, Bama is looking for the dominance. They're looking to dominate the SEC this year. Given that, I think, and this is just a thought, I think that they see Georgia and uh, Arkansas as a threat. I know they see Arkansas as a threat in the West, but I think they see Georgia as a threat because Georgia's playing so well. Like they took down Clemson, and you normally don't see Clemson fall within the last 10 years. You have not seen them fall in the first 2 or 3 games of the season. That's happened
True.
twice. Now you see Georgia's run game, Georgia's defense, you know, pounded Auburn into oblivion, and they didn't blink. And now the only school left in front of them is Florida and maybe Kentucky. But I think we all know Georgia's for real this year. Taking down Clemson, that was big. If Georgia loses within the next 2 weeks, knock on wood, because I know you're a Dogs fan, but I don't think it's going to affect them that much, given the fact that they've handled most of their schedule without blinking an eye and falling into the trap.
That's true too. And with Kentucky, up and coming this week, it'll be a test for sure because you figure they have the leading rushing attack in the
Yeah, that's
SEC
true.
right now, and they have the top running back right now too. So it's pretty interesting just to see like that dynamic and how that is like what drives their offense. At the same time, you got a Kentucky team who's like number one in rushing in the conference, and then you have Georgia being the number one rushing defense in the country, not just the conference. So it's going to be a big test for them. And it'll be interesting to see how they match up. Something I do want to point out with the Auburn game is Auburn's defensive line is really good, actually. They were ranked
Yeah,
number three behind, Georgia's defense nationally, as far in terms of like the front four, I should say. Um, them boys, man, that's what really was getting them in games or keeping them in games these last few weeks and the matches that they did have. But it's just the miscommunications that they have like on offense and stuff like that. This group is a little bit different. I know Bo Nix, he came in with like a talented core of like receivers around him, but those guys are all gone.
yeah.
Mainly
That that's
Anthony
that's
Schwartz
a
with
that's a
Cleveland.
great that's a great point to make, because last year and the year before they were
Mhm.
so dynamic in the passing game, and now they're
Yeah.
struggling. The receivers are struggling to get open. They're
Mhm.
struggling and catching the ball sometimes. And
Yep.
then you got to face Georgia's defense, and Georgia's defense is the most physical defense we've seen in college football all year, literally all year. So I agree with you on that, and I'm not nervous for Kentucky, but I am gonna say I would not be surprised if
Hmm.
Kentucky struggles early on, and that struggle holds them back for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a momentum issue because you figure, like you said, the thing that Georgia has been doing this season, which is something that they haven't done, and probably since the last time they went to the national championship, was they've been getting out in front of people early. It's
Hmm.
not something that we're used to seeing them do. Usually it's like, oh, we'll feel them out for the first quarter. Maybe we score 3 points. And then we kind of like turn it up a notch in the third quarter. You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
if you want to beat somebody like Bama or somebody who is worth talking about, you can't do that crap. You can't be like,
Right.
oh, let's feel them out or let's kind of try this play and then that play or not take a chance. They've been taking a chance on both sides of the ball, which is something that we haven't seen. We've seen them so dominant in the last few years with their running game or just overall with the running game. And this year, they're literally leading their offense with the pass. They're like putting up 430 some yards a game, and the majority of that is in the air. They're averaging like
Hmm.
279 or 280 in the air, and the rest of it on the ground. You're just like, oh, okay, so y'all not even really running the ball, which is something that you expect them to do. You're like, oh, they're gonna pound the rock. You already know what it is. No, they're not running the ball. They're not. And you
Yeah.
figure you got Zamir White back there, and you got James Cook, and you're like, okay, two decent backs, but you ain't really using them for the run game at all, which is
And
crazy. You're
then
like,
they
okay,
don't need to. Stetson
you
Bennett
don't need
Saturday,
to.
yeah, Saturday. Stetson Bennett was 14 for 21 for
Man,
231. Yeah, was it two? Yeah, 231 yards and two touchdowns. Half of that went to Ladid McConkey,
the
and
freshman,
yeah, and the
they
crazy part
balling their
about it
ass
is,
off.
yeah, that was where I was going with that. You don't need what you need the ball for. I mean, you need to run the ball for if people scared you're gonna throw it,
Man,
and
like,
and they know you're gonna throw it, and they still can't stop it.
and here's the scary part about this: you got two receivers leading the offense right now in the air, who are a freshman and a sophomore, right? The other two guys who are supposed to be in the game, your stars that came back from the last couple of seasons are hurt. They're supposed to be back soon, So you don't even
That's
have like your
crazy.
experienced players out there. Like so you got Dominic Blaylock and George
Mookie,
Pickens,
shout out to
right?
Mookie.
Right. Shout out to Mookie's son, right? And Mookie for doing that. These two guys were the key part of Georgia's offense the last couple of years in the air. So the fact that you
Hmm.
don't even have them out there, and then you don't even have the same quarterback every week, and you're still putting up these numbers in the air with some unproven players and a senior at tight end, that's scary. What happens when they all come back? They're not even a full offense yet.
All bad.
That's crazy to me.
All
Now,
bad.
now we know how this works because you can't keep them guys out for too long. Though.
Right. They'll
That's
get
the
rusty.
Achilles heel. They're gonna get
They'll get
rusty.
rusty.
This is 6 games right now. We already halfway through the schedule, right? You can't keep them guys out for too long, man, because at the end of the day, I'm riding with the momentum. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna slowly bring them cats in, but I ain't about to throw them
But you
in and have
still
them
got,
taking all
yeah,
the snaps.
yeah, you still got to ride the hot hand. And right now,
You know,
McConkey is
and,
clearly the hot
listen,
hand.
he's faster than I thought too. I'm like, man, that boy got
Hey
some
man,
wheels
don't.
on.
Hey, I mean,
It's
just
crazy.
because it's Georgia, don't mean ain't nobody fast now.
Well, I mean, it's the you know, I
Yeah,
had no idea.
gotta pump your arms, son. Oh,
You
shout out
know,
Coach
you know,
Harris.
you know. But
Okay.
speaking of,
No, I wanted to throw this out there though, because a lot went down Saturday, not just Bama.
hmm
I sent you a lit. I sent you a graph of who I thought was going down.
hmm
Clearly, I did not get all of that right. I got it. I understood it. I thought Arkansas State was not going to be as bad as they are, but they are. Uh, we didn't
man,
count Cincinnati because Cincinnati is Temple, man. It's Temple.
yeah, it's like why, yeah,
Stanford, I thought was going to ride the hype wave and had a momentum, but clearly Sparky and the Sun Devils told them shut up and eat it. And then we got to Iowa and Penn State.
mm,
I picked Iowa because one, this game is in Iowa City,
true,
and it's hard to beat Iowa at home. I don't care who it is. I don't care what part of the season it is. It is very hard to beat Iowa at home. Now, the reason I had this game on that list and that I sent you was because both teams were undefeated.
hmm
It's a cross division showdown, but it's got Big Ten championship implications because Penn State was leading the top of the East Division. Iowa was leading the West. Now, the
hmm
reason I'm saying this for those watching is because at the end of the month, Ohio State has to see Penn State. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that is in Happy Valley this year.
mm
Don't quote me on that. I'm looking that up right now. But this, I think, because we always see it with Penn State, they get a big game, get a big win, and then all of a sudden they see a crappy team and they shit the brick. In this scenario, it was flipped. They saw a big team. They don't see a crappy team for another week or so
hmm
because actually, yeah, they do. I have to take that back. They got Illinois next week, and then at the end of the month, they got OSU.
mm
My question to
Oh,
you is,
go ahead,
my question to you is, how bad does this loss affect Penn State?
man. The way it's looking right now, this loss would actually affect Penn State more, only because they already lost a game in the conference, and then with them losing that game in the conference, because they're 2-1 right now. So like Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State are all undefeated still in the conference. So you figure Penn State needs that win more than anything. Would it be in that type of race? If they lose this game, they're going to have to rely on the fact that A, they would have to win the Big Ten, obviously, right? B,
Yeah.
they also would need to have Ohio State lose to either Michigan State or Michigan themselves, one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
Because you figure whatever team wins out between the top three teams is who's going to be represented then in the Big Ten championship. So Penn State's looking like, okay, we have to
Exactly.
beat these teams. We have to because we already lost one. But you figure the
Yeah.
fact that Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State have not lost in the conference yet, they're on the outside looking in right now anyway. Like we got to win that game against OSU, and we got to hope that they all beat each other because we're one game behind already. Looking at all three of them, not just one, three teams tied up.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Not to
So,
not to mention Penn State has to still see all three of them
yep,
in
yes
the
they
course of
do.
this season with
That's a
a scrappy Maryland team.
oh yeah, Maryland is really scrappy right now. And then like looking at the other game you're talking about for Penn State, so it's going to be at OSU on the 30th. Now the only
Which
difference
is
is, and this
mm,
that's very helpful
mm,
for OSU for sure, right? So you figure having that game at home is definitely crucial. They also play Michigan State at home too. That's going to be another good one, right?
but
That's going to be
after
helpful.
here's my thing about that. Looking at the after the Illinois game,
Hmm.
there's 5 games left with OSU, Maryland, Michigan, Rutgers, and Michigan State. 4 out of those 5 teams are above 500,
Yes.
well above 500. 2 of those games, with actually 3 of those games, are on the road.
Hmm.
You got to go to O State, you got to go to Maryland, and you have to go to Sparty. You already know Sparty's a rivalry game. You have not had good luck against Sparty. I mean,
Not even a little
the
bit.
last few years you've come out with maybe 1 or 2 wins, but it's a slippery slope because
Hmm.
you always have to go into O State prepared. You always have to go into Sparty prepared, and you have not the last couple of years. I'm hoping, mind you, I'm not a Penn State fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm hoping that this game does not take away focus because it was a hard fought game. I
Hmm.
I thought, you know, you root for the underdog, you bet on the favorite. My gut feeling was telling me it's in Iowa. Just take it for what it is because Iowa is hard to beat at home. You saw that with Ohio State. You've seen it with Michigan before. Why would this be any different? So as I'm
True.
watching this game play out, Penn State's quarterback goes down. The backup
Mm.
struggling.
Yep.
Yeah, and we don't know if that quarterback is coming back or not.
See.
And mind you, his backup threw 2 interceptions, so that kind of hurt.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, I'm really wondering if this will be a situation where they cannot bounce back and they start to fall.
And this wouldn't be the first time because we've seen
It
Penn
would not.
State get really, really hot and then just crumble at the end of the season. We saw it in the last three seasons. It's happened very
Yeah,
recently, right?
yeah,
And on top of that, like you said, the quarterback going down, like because they were doing good up to that point, and once he got hurt, I'm like, oh crap, it was like, well, don't know how his backup is, but I know what the other guy can do. So we will see how that played out, and it didn't play out well, right?
yeah.
The defense kept them in as much as they could, but
Yeah, defensively, when your starting quarterback is down, you can only do so
that's
much.
right. That's
And
it.
right about now, like I said, we don't know if this guy's coming back or not.
And the
So,
crazy part about it is, with him like kind of being on the fence of coming back, you're about to go into the hardest part of your schedule. Let's talk about that too.
man,
You know what I'm saying? You got to see OSU, you got to see Michigan State and Michigan all on the same side of your division, and you may
hmm
not have the starting QB. This is the wrong time of the season, bro. Last 5, 6 games of the season, and you got to deal with this in a month and a
yeah,
half. You
yeah,
need him. You need
yeah,
him. Okay. Let's.
very much
I'm.
so.
I, I ain't a fan, but I feel bad for them. I ain't a fan, but I feel
I
bad for them.
do too. I do
Mm.
too.
This is the worst time that could happen. But I meant to ask you this too, man. So, since we're on the topic of NCAA football, right? Because I had a very interesting conversation with a longtime friend of mine, right? He's a Buckeyes fan, and I was trying to get him props and everything else, man. But he was so bent over and just so mad about the fact that when the rankings came out, that Oklahoma was ahead of him still. What are your thoughts on
Well, first off, let's take a look at the rankings. I'm gonna wait for my slow ass ESPN on my computer to boot up. But I was actually gonna talk to you about this, and you brought it up sooner than rather than later. So let's take a look at it. As we all know, it's two different polls. There's the AP and the coaches. So coaches poll has Georgia number one, Iowa number two, Oklahoma three, Cincinnati four, Bama five, Ohio State six. AP has Georgia one, Iowa two, Cincy three, Oklahoma four, Bama five, and O State six. So the top six pretty much match. And you said his gripe was, why is Oklahoma still ranked ahead of Ohio State?
that?
Okay, let's take a look at the reality. The reality is Ohio State lost to a shitty Oregon team. Now, mind you,
Okay. Yep.
I'm not calling Oregon shitty in the sense that they stink. This was a game Ohio State was supposed to win. Mind you, keep in mind, if he's watching, if he ain't watching, whatever the case is, he'll see this. Mind you, this was supposed to be a home and home between the Pac 12 and Big Ten. Last year,
Mhm.
due to COVID, they got cut. So, because Ohio State was supposed to go to Autzen in Oregon and play first, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
Autzen comes here. So, with that being said, you lost to an Oregon team that was picked to win their conference, but aren't really doing as well as they should right about now. They got points for beating Ohio State at Ohio State. Mind you, Oregon hadn't beat Ohio State in a couple of years. Last meeting they had was the Rose Bowl. Ohio State dog walked them. Before that, it was the national championship, the first national championship in the playoff era. Ohio State dog walked them then. So this was years in the making of Oregon finally having a team to beat Ohio State. So that one loss against uh, Oregon hurts Ohio State. As much as I'm a Buckeye fan, that's the reality of it. The second part about this is Oklahoma is still undefeated. Let's keep that in mind. They just won a literal shootout between them and Texas. A literal shootout. There was over 100 points in that game.
And a
So
21-point comeback.
yeah, they came back from
Ooh,
21. So let's
right.
look at so my brother, whoever your friend is, my brother, look at the reality. Ohio State lost. Oklahoma has not lost yet. They are trying to make a play to get back into the playoff. As you can see in the top 25, actually, let's shorten it. In the top five,
Mm-hmm.
there is a school that is not normally there, and that school is Cincinnati. Cincinnati will be, barring a global catastrophe as far as sports is concerned, will be a member of the Big 12 once Oklahoma leaves. So they are making a statement as to why a group of five school cannot be admitted in the top four of the playoff. Just plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma has not lost. Ohio State has. That granted, most people would consider that a quality loss because it is a Power Five school that Ohio State lost to, be it Oregon. But they still lost. And they got beat on and had a poor showing because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason Oklahoma is ranked number three is because they came back from 21 to a Texas team that I had actually picked to win. Fucking Texas. Go figure. And I thought that they were going to win. And they came back from 21 after a quarterback switch, mind you. And they beat Texas soundly in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, you have to look at one, quality of the opponent. Two, the schedule. 3, the losses. How many does Oklahoma have? 0. How many does Ohio State have? 1. Where is the team that Ohio State beat? Top 10. They are actually ranked 9th in the AP and 10th in the coaches poll. So Ohio State still has a good shot to get back in as long as
Right.
Oregon keeps winning and Ohio State keeps winning. And God forbid any one of the top 5 before Ohio State fall again in Alabama's case, then there will be a significant change. And that may happen because a few of these teams in the top 25 still have to see each other.
True.
Most of this top 10, I can tell you, looking at it right now, most of this top 10 is Big Ten teams, and they all got to see each other.
And that's the difference,
Iowa,
man.
yeah. And I hate to burst your friend's bubble, but that's the reality. Ohio State lost. If Ohio State doesn't lose, I see them in the top 3, maybe even top 2. And especially
Yeah.
after Alabama losing, but fact still remains they lost to a crappy Oregon team. Oregon lost to Stanford. Stanford isn't doing very well right now.
And
What
see,
does
that's
that
what I was,
tell you?
and that's what I was trying to tell them, man. I was like, look, I said, quite frankly, when they lost that game to Stanford, right? They're lucky that they're even in the top 10 still. Because the thing is, what helped them to be in the top 10 still right now is the win over Ohio State. And the
Exactly.
fact that they lost to a Stanford team that they
That's
weren't
not
supposed to
very
lose
good.
to, that's not good. And it doesn't make it look good for Ohio State either. There's a chance, yes, they will get back in the playoff because if they could just win out and win the Big Ten, they're in there. They're in
Yeah,
there.
because
But my thing is like,
clearly Ohio State's schedule, the quality opponents are there.
oh, yeah, the rest
As
of the
long as
schedule look
as long
really
as
scary.
as long as Penn State, and Michigan still keep winning, they got all 3 of them. So their quality of
Exactly.
wins could jump as long as everybody else takes care of business. As opposed to Oregon and losing to Stanford, who
Mm-hmm.
the last couple of years ain't been productive. They not been how they should have been.
Yeah,
You look at it, the rest of Oregon's schedule, nobody's ranked at all.
that's what I'm saying, man. Like, here's what's scary
Nobody's
about
ranked.
that. And the thing is, as these games continue, there are teams who, if they remain undefeated, are going to jump Oregon.
Hmm.
They're going to keep getting knocked down, regardless of how they win. They're going to keep getting knocked down. If they were
Yeah.
to finish out the rest of the season with no losses and go to like the Pac-12 championship or whatever, I guarantee you they will go into that game ranked like 13 or 14.
Show you how important winning on your
The
schedule against a
Saints,
qual or having. Yeah, I get it. You get it.
you
I
know,
get it. But he don't get it. But
you don't get it.
to give him a better shot, a glimpse of how this plays out and how this looks. Think about this. Who was ranked 10th before yesterday? Who was ranked 10th? It was BYU. I'll answer that. It was BYU.
Yeah, they lost that game. I forgot. They lost it.
BYU loses to Boise State after dog walking Boise State last year. They lost to Boise State this year and dropped 10 spots. They
Yeah, they
dropped
out,
10
out.
spots to 20th. So
They out.
their hope of getting into the playoff shot. Texas A&M jumped them, and they weren't even ranked last week. So I mean, just look at it. Your boys got to be realistic here. As long as and this is the true statement. The Big Ten is literally dominating the top 10 right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Now,
And what I had to tell
and
him too
all
was like, what I had to tell him too was like, man, look, I am very unbiased about this stuff. Like we all have our teams that we want to win, of course, but I could just see the fan in him coming out during this conversation. And I was like, look, man, if I keep talking to you about this, you're just gonna be more hurt if I keep talking to you about it. So I backed off. I'm like, you know what? All right. I said, look, the last thing I said to him was, you have every right to have a bias for the team that you support. I totally get that. And that's where I left it at. I was like, I ain't about to tell you that you're wrong in different ways I was saying it, but I'm like, if I keep having this conversation, it's gonna go left. He's gonna say something crazy, right? He's gonna try to come for my team, and then my fan gonna come out, but I'm gonna actually have facts though to back it up, and it's gonna go bad. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say, you be biased about your team, be a fan. That's cool. It's all good, bro. Support
Well, you know
them.
what?
I hope they do
You know
something
what?
this year. I really do,
I'm a,
but don't.
if you ain't gonna say it, I'll say it for you, bruh. Get real. Just pay attention. Ohio,
Right?
right now, Ohio State is only 3 spots out. If they really
Yeah.
wanted to, they're only 3 spots out. Alabama, after this, unless they see, they got to see Georgia possibly in the championship game,
Mm-hmm.
but they still got to see Auburn. Auburn may wake up and beat Alabama, so Alabama might lose twice. You never
And
know.
they got
But
to go up against the same quarterback that beat them already.
right, but since he brought this up about Ohio State, as long as Ohio State stays the course and takes
Mm-hmm.
care of business, they will be back in the top 4,
Yep.
barring a global sports catastrophe where every team just finishes out their schedule undefeated, untied, or whatever the case may be. But that ain't gonna happen because 4 out of the 5 top 10 teams have to see each other the rest of the season at some point.
Absolutely. And
So
that's the
somebody
whole
has to
shakeup.
lose. So
That's
somebody
the
has to
whole
lose.
shakeup. And somebody got to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, somebody
And
has
it
to win the
just so
Big Ten.
happened that them
Somebody has
three
to win the
teams
Big
on the
12.
same side.
Right, and somebody has to win the Big 12. Keep that in mind too,
Yep.
because Oklahoma State is still undefeated.
Ooh, now if Oklahoma's okay, now correct me if I'm wrong on this. To my knowledge, there aren't any divisions, right, in the Big
I don't
12.
think so. No, I don't think so.
So with
Let's
that
look at
being
that.
said, which this is also a rivalry game. If
Yeah,
Oklahoma
Bedlam.
has to play Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship, that's a damn good game. I'm excited about that because there is some badass blood between them two schools. And I would
Oh
love to
man,
see that. I would love to see that.
I
Now,
would too.
question is, do they play each other at all the rest of the regular schedule? That's the question.
Yeah, that Oklahoma State sees uh, OU at the end of the season.
Ooh, okay. So would it be in that? Oh man. All right. Well,
But the
by
problem is
default.
this. Yeah, it's by default, but the problem comes in when you beat Baylor, you still got to see Texas. So as of right now, quiet as it's kept, uh, say for the sake of this discussion,
Hmm.
Oklahoma State beats Texas. They'll have 3 quality wins because Kansas State, Baylor, and Texas were all ranked at the time.
That's true too.
And
That's
then
very true.
Oklahoma is ranked 4th as of right now. So, you know, anything is possible. And I am pulling up the conference standings. So
Oh, me too. I'm right there with you right now. Here's the thing.
as far as no, there are no divisions in the Big 12. It's a straight whoever finishes 1 and 2.
So here's the thing, bro. Four teams only have one loss. Texas just suffered its first Big 12 loss yesterday to Oklahoma, right? So looking at this, Iowa State is 1-1 in the conference, right? These are all one-loss teams in the conference. Baylor, Texas, Iowa State, TCU. Now, if one of them beats Oklahoma or one of them beats Oklahoma State, we got a six-way tie. Bruh, do you understand what's about to happen? This is going to make the last part of whatever the Big 12 is doing just that much more exciting because it's like, okay, somebody got to win that conference,
Yeah.
but all your teams is like right there, with the exception of course, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Kansas, West Virginia, right? They're not even going to be in it. But the rest of them six, it's like, it's right here. It's right here. So even when Oklahoma sees Oklahoma State at the end of the season, It all depends on who they beat in between. Because at the end of the day, if both of them come in where one team has one win over the other, and then that team somehow squeaks out the win at the end of the season, they see each other the following game at the Big 12 championship stage.
Yeah,
If it plays
yeah.
out like that, that's exciting as hell. I
Because you
cannot
know what? Because you know what? That's
let
exactly
that
what
happen.
happened. That's exactly what happened in the American Conference last year when Cincinnati beat Tulsa and had to see them again the
Yup,
following week.
that's ooh, ooh.
Mm,
You don't. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
no, no.
It's
Why would
exciting,
you?
but no one wants it. Right? You're like,
Why would you?
I just went through this with y'all last week.
Yeah, I just saw you punks last week. Why would I want
I
to?
just showed you everything, and now we gotta do it again. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now
man.
here we because I want to dive a little bit deeper into this but I want to
Okay,
dive deeper into this in another area.
right.
In Division 3,
Hmm.
we saw we saw Mount Union beat Wilmington, but it's Wilmington, man. I mean, come on, it's Wilmington. But I was talking with uh one of my fellow coaches over at Lutheran West about this. He's a John Carroll alumni.
Okay.
With everything changing in Division 1, do you think there'd be a change where teams move conferences in Division 3? Because my question is, and I've been pushing for this for the longest, why doesn't Case Western make a play for the OAC? I want to hear your thoughts.
I to this day still don't understand why that hasn't happened. Um, it's not like they don't put together competitive teams, and they haven't been like a terrible program. There's been some really good ones that's come through there. I think it's something that they have to seriously think about and go, look, man, what is it that I need to do to make this happen, first of all? Secondly, what is it that I need to invest in to make this even, you know, worth our time or worth our ability to be able to go into the OAC? And then lastly, they got to think too, like, okay, what does this do for recruitment? Because the thing is, with them, I've seen some of those matchups where they've randomly played those teams, right? You randomly have a Mount Union game. You randomly have, you know, a BW or whoever that you go up against that we know about as local. And then you're like, okay, I'm back to this other schedule, back to these other teams that I've been playing before. I think that they need to make that happen. I feel like it's overdue. I'm just not quite sure what the issue is or why they're taking so long to make that happen or what's actually holding them back. Just looking over the course of the last, like, let's say 10 years, 15 years, some of the people that we've known that have played for those schools and whatnot, I just think that it's something that needs to happen. It's something that people need to see. I feel like it's something that we need to just have happen for the conference overall. You know, we're at a point where it's just so lopsided in certain seasons or whatever, where, you know, Mount Union may be dominant, and then you have a year where they're like, okay, they're still good, but they're not as dominant. And then you guys, crappy team like, you know, John Carroll or these other schools that we saw in the last couple of years start to play a lot better, especially when it came to playoff time. And I don't know, man. I just feel like it's long overdue. I just feel like it needs to happen. But I
I
don't know
think
what's holding
this
them back or what's making them not doing it. Though. That is
here's
a
my
question I
thing.
can't answer. I have no
And I
idea.
know, and for those watching, we tapped into this because uh Case Western's conference, I believe, does not. Uh, I don't think they give out an automatic bid to the um, to the college playoff in D3.
No.
So as of right now, they're Case Western's right now they're not doing very good. But um, this is a bounce back year for them, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I think this makes life so much easier. Yeah, the president's conference does not give out or does not have a automatic bid, so they're pretty much up. a creek without a paddle if they don't
True.
win their conference and hope for some help with votes and stuff. But in the OAC, you have so much there. Travel's not going to kill you. You're basically staying in Ohio.
Yeah.
You're basically staying in Ohio. Everybody's in Ohio. It's just what part of Ohio are you going to? Um,
It makes the most sense, man.
you're right. It does. It makes sense to me in my head, but I'm not them, and this is one of those situations where I feel like this is something that needs to happen because if you really are paying attention, you know, they've made noise. They've made noise going to the playoffs. They've won the President's Conference. Uh, it's nothing bad about this move to me. I mean, you got to see Mount Union every other year or every year, but you know, at least three teams. If I just feel like with this move, at least three teams from the OAC are guaranteed to make it to the playoff.
Hmm.
And I'm with you. This is a move that needs to happen.
Yeah, it's just one of the things where it's like, you know, I kind of wonder what goes through the head of, the AD and then like school presidents, all of that, whoever's involved in those decisions. And it's like, do you think that you're going to lose something by going to the OAC? Do you think that hurts you in some way? Is there a monetary issue? Because right now, I'm just like, there's literally nothing holding you back. And the fact that you made that good point about them being in Ohio and not having to really like travel a whole lot of different places or different states like that and just kind of working your way around, man. It's just easier on travel. It's easier on them to prep for those kind of games too. It just makes the most sense. So it's almost like, what is the thought process behind not making that happen? And I definitely don't have an answer for it. And I really wish there was, somebody who could kind of give that insight as to what happened or, what that looks like. Even if I was to, reach out to a former Case Western player that we know, um, it'll be interesting to see like his thought process on that and, why it hasn't happened, even when he was playing. Shout out to Michael Collins, you
Yeah, shout
know.
out Mike. What's up, Mike?
So that's another thing too, just thinking about that, like, because he, spent his whole time there playing when he was going to Case, and
Yeah.
it's just one of them things, man, where he probably thought the same thing. He's playing ball for them. Man, I gotta hit him up thinking about that, man, because here's a brother who had the athleticism, was smart and everything, um, and he went to Case by way of St. Peter's Chanel, by the way. So it's just one of those things, man, where some folks, man, you see how they doing, and you just kind of wonder like the different things like that. And I'm glad you brought that up because like, yeah, I kind of wonder if you felt that way back then when you was playing. Like, did y'all feel the same way? Even at that point.
Yeah, because you know, just looking at it, I was just like, this. I think this move would benefit. I think this would be a very entertaining move
Hmm.
as far as that goes because you don't really lose a lot. You gain natural rivalries between you, John Carroll, and Baldwin Wallace, if nothing else. And then
Yep.
you kind of even it out because it's usually just Mount, John Carroll, and everybody else. Now you got Mount, John Carroll, a possible Baldwin Wallace, and a Case Western.
Hmm.
And then there's no bottom of the barrel. There's no middle of the pack, you know. But
And
we might have to bring Mike on to see what that's about.
for sure. And here's the thing, man. I feel like it would be good for the community in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
Like because
Cause
we all know about
Case,
these schools.
yeah, and Case is lit up, dude. You ain't been back in a while. Case is looking awesome. Like the whole area is just beautiful. Oh, by the way, they got a new restaurant out there. You need to try, man. It's great
So
restaurant. Great restaurant. I ain't gonna say it's the GOAT, but it's up there. It's up there. Just had some of it
oh
look
man.
about an hour ago.
Mm.
Yeah, we gonna find Mike and see what that's about. All right. Before we move to our main topic, I gotta touch this one. Big fella, you got the right to go night night.
Man, he blacked him out. Like
Tyson Fury retains the World Heavyweight Championship by
mm,
knocking out Deontay Wilder in the 11th round. Now, this was the third fight in the trilogy. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Fury won the last one to get the heavyweight championship, if memory serves me
hmm
correct.
yep.
And this was the rubber match. Wilder won the first one. Fury got the belt back, or won the belt, and this one he kept the belt. But the question is not what happened during the fight. My question is for the post fight. Does Wilder hang it up? Does Fury hang it up? Which one hangs it up first?
Honestly, man, I feel like Fury is the kind of guy to go out on top. Um, I don't see him as being someone that's gonna like keep doing this for too much longer. I think maybe he has one more fight, and then he says, "You know what? This is it, right?" Because looking at this and looking at the whole like heavyweight division that they're in, it seemed as though Wilder may have been like his biggest challenge anyway. And
Right.
it's like, well, when you get to that point, you're like, well, shoot, I'm the man. And then here's my other biggest competition that tried to take my belt back from me. And I knocked him out, like actually knocked him out with a decision. You know, that dude was asleep. He was asleep. I
I
was like,
wish I could. I
whoa.
wish I could send you
I
the
wish I
picture.
could display it.
Like I
Man,
wish. I wish they would let. I wish the overlay system wasn't messing up right about now because it's a picture of the ref, and the ref has this look on his face like, "Ooh, this is ugly. This is ugly." And somebody commented and said, "The ref ain't laughing. The ref is saying, God damn,
yeah.
man." And then the video I sent you before the show didn't make it no better.
Man, listen, I was
You
like,
got the
they are
right to
rising.
go night night.
So here's what's funny about it. Here's what's funny about it because Wilder, you know, still was like, all right, I am going to get my revenge on this dude, right? Because when they talked about it post game, Fury basically said, look, man, it was a great fight. It was worthy of any trilogy in the history of the sport. And he said, Wilder's a tough fighter. I always
Mhm.
said I'm the best in the world, and he's second best. It's like, dang, okay. So
Well, you can't be
then,
mad at for you can't be mad at him for his thoughts.
no, you
If you
can't.
if you're a boxer or a fighter or just in any sport, and you feel like you're the best. You're not gonna say, "Yeah, he's the best. I'm right behind him." No,
No, absolutely not. And it's just funny because looking at this whole matchup and then looking at the percentages and like just the punches in general. I mean, Fury
landed like
landed
Fury landed a whole. I think he landed double than what
double,
Wilder did.
bruh. He doubled the landed. Look, here's the thing. Fury only, based off of these stats, right? Because I'm staring him down hard. Fury only threw 30 more punches than
Mm,
Wilder. 30.
mm.
30. And this man landed double what he landed, right?
To be
We're
to be
talking,
fair, to be fair,
ah,
to be fair, this fight was more entertaining than the last two, just because
yes,
you had
absolutely.
to come in with a strategy on this one. You couldn't just say I'm gonna knock him out, Mike. And most people might feel like Wilder's a one trick pony. All he has is that one punch, but in reality, a lot of guys walked into those fights with Wilder not knowing how hard Wilder punches. And sometimes when you have power on your side as a fighter, a lot of people
Hmm.
that you get into the ring with aren't taking that into consideration. They're trying to, keep away, like play keep away or try to keep you at bay with the jab. And I just in this situation, looking at both fighters, Tyson Fury is an attacker. And he's also an opportunist when it comes to
Hmm.
seeing an opening. And that knockout punch was the opening he was looking for and had been looking for 10 rounds. So
Exactly it.
so the strategy for Wilder worked up until the 11th round. Both like keep in mind, both fighters scored a knockdown on the other. So
Oh yeah.
knockdowns were there, but they weren't knockouts. They were just I got him down for the moment.
Yep. And that was a difference.
And that was the difference because not Wilder, but Fury was looking for that opportunity to land the overhand right or land the hook, and it just so happened in the corner, Wilder left that face open a little too long, and here come
Hmm.
that hook, and that was the difference maker because up until that point, Wilder had not given him an opportunity.
True.
And I guess the wear and tear of the rounds, because to me, both these guys looked out of shape. I can't prove
Oh
that
yeah.
just off the eye test. They both looked out of shape. But if that's
I,
not the case, this was an endurance match, and Wilder was actually winning because he lasted as long as he did. Because remember, a lot of Fury's fights didn't last past the 6th round.
true. That's very true.
So the fact that Wilder lasted 6 more rounds than Fury's average opponent should show you this was a strategic fight, and Wilder was trying to. Yes, Fury doubled his punches and doubled the landed punches, but Wilder was trying to last until the 12th round and possibly win on points. That didn't work in his favor, but I think you got to give Wilder some credit because he had a blueprint and he stuck to it. It was just an opportunity that Fury took.
That's pretty much it, Brandon. And the thing about Wilder, you figure almost all of his wins came by knockout, right? So
Hmm.
the guy is 42-2 and 1 with 41 knockouts, right? His only two losses
Are from Fury.
are from Fury, his whole professional career anyway. And just to see, like you said, it went that long. Both of these guys, they rely on certain punches, haymakers, whatnot, just connecting. And like you said, he had his hands down for way too long, and He actually got knocked down the round before the
Yeah.
knockout. So in the 10th round, he got knocked down, and then that's when Fury noticed his opportunity. He
Hmm.
started reading them. He said, "You know what? This dude is dropping his hands at certain points. If I can time it right, I'm gonna throw this
It's a done deal.
haymaker."
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. You
And
said
that's
he's an
what happened.
opportunist. And when he knocked him down, he noticed, oh, okay. And I think that's what gave him like a second win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because once you knock a guy down, man, you're like, okay, I can get this. Your confidence
Hmm.
goes up, adrenaline's pumping. But
Because
if you
it's
want
there.
getting knocked
The
down,
opportunity is there.
right. But if you don't want getting knocked down, like everybody ain't Rocky Balboa, cat. Like you get knocked down, you like, look, man, that dude really just dropped me though. You think
Yeah.
about it, like, okay, because
No,
he was
no, he
dropping him
didn't
early,
swing on me.
right? And he was dropping him early in the fight. So
Yeah.
now for it to flip around and now you're the one getting dropped, you might get in your head a little bit. You go, oh, okay, wait,
Hmm.
this round 10,
I don't
I
think
got
it got
dropped.
I don't think it got in Wilder's head. I think the close quarters game is what caught up to him.
Mm,
I honestly think looking at it the way I saw it play out, I thought honestly I had Wilder winning the fight. Wilder was due, he won his belt back, but what I didn't take into consideration that I should have was Fury's close quarters game is a lot better than people give it credit for.
oh,
And
yeah, we
last
don't
night
give it
was
enough.
and last night was proof of that. Last night was great proof of that because that hook is what ended that fight.
Hmm.
The overhand right gave him the first knockdown, and that hook ended the fight. So, you know, it was just a great fight, man. That's the kind of fight we should have been watching 20 years ago.
Right. Like that's the kind of fight that you hope to see in today's boxing, and you don't get enough of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was a slugfest, man. That was the way it should be. Especially two guys like this. I mean, it's been a while since we've had some really good, you know, heavyweight fights in general. The
Hmm.
heavyweight division is just one that kind of has been, up and down anyway. You got a couple of Russians that come in and they dominate for a while, and you got, you know, the era before when we used to probably watch it more hardcore, back when you had Lennox Lewis and guys like that. At least from
That was a
our era
golden era for
anyway.
me.
But after that, it's like,
Who you got?
what do you got? I don't know. I mean, it's up until these two guys, it was kind of like, some guys here
Hey,
and there, and
I wouldn't even say that because to be honest,
I wasn't
up
watching
in,
heavyweight.
yeah, nobody was not faithfully because
Oh,
you had nobody. Everybody's watching the light heavyweights, the smaller guys. Middleweight, light heavyweight was where it was at,
for sure.
especially with Pacquiao and that was the era.
I was shocked that he stepped away, man.
I'm not. I'm not. I think one. I think it was time. I mean, when you like Floyd, when you like Pacquiao, when you like De La Hoya, what do you got to prove? You didn't won everything. What else you need to
Well,
prove?
that's the thing. Like, out of all those guys, Pacquiao was the one guy that always would just like, come back for one more. Was always trying to do something different. And for him, it wasn't all about the money because I felt like with Floyd, it was like, well, if I got the biggest payday, I guess I'm gonna step in there one more time. Maybe the last three times or whatever.
Yeah,
But with Pacquiao, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that he's trying to focus very hard on his political career. He could actually become the next president of the Philippines, believe it or not.
man,
So
I'm
that's
pulling
something he
for
wants
that.
to,
I
and
can't
that's the
vote for him,
thing.
but
Well, right. But that's really what it is because he's already like what a local councilman or something like that,
hmm
states whatever the terms are. And the thing is, um, the current president there, I think his name is Rodrigo Duarte or something like that. I work with some people in Manila, so I'm familiar a little bit. And he's stepping down after
mm,
this year. He's actually leaving. Like, I'm done. Like, I think the pandemic was too much for him. I know they're a lot further behind in terms of like, getting ahead of that. So maybe that's part of it. But he said he's stepping down. And I'm like, oh, so if you're stepping down, who's actually going
opportunity.
to, right? So Pacquiao's like, look, I'm about to do it, man. I'm just going to do what I got to do. And the thing is, remind you too, Pacquiao is, first of all, and I think this is what kind of took me back to that or made me feel that way, was he was the oldest welterweight champion ever. This dude literally had the belt 2 years ago at
Yeah,
40
yeah.
in the welterweight division. Welterweight. Like, you know, that's something we
Not
see in the heavyweight divisions or the heavier
yeah.
weights, but
Super
welterweight is the
heavyweight,
balance
maybe.
of, you got speed and power you're looking at. Well, welterweights is dangerous, It ain't
Hmm.
like a little tap here and there. You got that one guy that got that real crazy power coming along with the speed. With a heavyweight dude, it's like you got a
It's
couple
one or
of
the
fast
other.
guys we've seen, right? But they mostly got the power, man. But that division is rough,
Yeah, it
in
is.
all sports, MMA, boxing, welterweights are just dangerous, man. So
Pro wrestling.
seeing that was like, right, that's what I'm saying. Like them cats, they big enough, but they still will flip on you. They still will do
Yeah,
the acrobatics and
it's gonna hurt. Yeah, it's gonna
I have
hurt.
I have nothing bad to say about that weight class. Anything. I'm sorry. Respect.
Respect.
Respect. Respect.
All right. Quick update for you guys. Top of the 13th. Top of the 13th in the ALDS game three. It's tied. Tampa Bay and Boston, 4-4. It's top of the 13th with two outs. And I believe there is one on. And in the other divisional round, the Astros are winning against the White Sox 3-1. It's the bottom of
Mm,
the second.
mm,
Uh, Houston leads that series 2-0. So I'm not expecting the White Sox to do anything spectacular.
feel it,
Good job, good season, White Sox.
man. Right. Basically, you're like, it was
Yeah,
cool.
it was a good season. Another quick update in the 2022 World Cup qualifying. CONCACAF Panama takes care of the United States 1-0. Mind you, I said this is World Cup, so I'm obviously talking about the men's side. Should we just give up hope with the uh with the men's soccer team, or
Yeah,
should we just
I don't know, man. It's just not looking good. And the thing is, like, I couldn't even tell you any up and coming prospects or anybody who I feel like would help turn the program around. It's just not looking good, you know. And then if the Summer Olympics tell us anything too, um, yeah, man, I'm letting all hope go on that end. I'm sorry. I was for a long time. I was like, you know what? There's such quality guys that were still on the squad, the international squad, even at an older age, you know. And I was like, well, okay, this still gives them a shot because you got this guy, that guy, whatever, you know. Now I'm like, I don't even know y'all. I don't see anything promising. There hasn't been any real buzz about
right?
anyone individually. Um, yeah, it's just not the same, man. Because the last guy that left that I was familiar with was from who was it? From the Seattle Sounders. Um,
Eh,
and that was the last guy I remember who actually was a part of that team. That actually was Dempsey. Dempsey. There it is.
oh yeah. I mean,
Dempsey was amazing. And then like to have him when he was a lot younger, and then Donovan was still around at the time frame, and you had Tim Howard still around, and it's just
but that's
guys
only
like that
like
that were so
that's only
pivotal,
like
you
three
know.
dudes though. It's only like three
Yeah,
dudes we
but
know.
I guess to have like significant players like at each level of the field is what made the difference. But then now, oh my gosh, man, it's hard to watch. I'll
It
say that.
is. It is.
I'll
And
say that.
I'm not even I don't expect them because they all and what's crazy is they always get put in the hardest group and they never make it out. The last 10 years, I'll say the last 14, 15 years of national soccer, they get put in the
Mm-hmm.
hardest group, whether it's the Olympics or the World Cup, they get put in the hardest group and they never make it out.
Nope.
And then the crazy part is they'll get a gimme and still blow it.
True. That's very true. Um, and the thing about Dempsey is he just had. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where you watch you watch you watch soccer for a while. You see a guy like that. You're like, okay, here's a guy who is from the U.S. He's had some, Premier League experience. He still played for some teams here. Um, and it's cool to be able to see guys from here actually make it, overseas, right?
Yeah.
And ball their butts off while they were there and to come back and to represent. So, that's why I guess um, hung on like watching him for a while. I mean, he's like, a couple years older than I am. Um, and it's just be able to see like that kind of transition or to see someone who I guess kind of like opened up that door. Because the thing is, like, there's not a lot of guys you see from the U.S. that get a chance to really ball over there unless you're really, really
Yeah.
special,
You
and
got
then
to
to
be
come back and still
fantastic.
play. Right, man. And to be in the Premier League too with that, that's not some
That's not
pushover.
slouch league. That's not a slouch
Right.
league. That's the best league in all of football.
And the fact that you were chosen on a team that, may not have been a favorite to win, the Premier Cup or anything like that, but the fact that they picked you when you were the guy says a lot, because we
Yeah.
played for Tottenham. Um,
But
for a
Tottenham wasn't
while.
no slouch. Just as well as I do. Back in the day, Tottenham wasn't a slouch team. They just, how do you compete with money wise? How do you compete with, Arsenal, Real Madrid, and Barcelona trying money wise? How do you compete with that? You don't you don't have that kind of money.
You don't. You really don't. And you figure you got to see, Manchester United every year. You got to see Chelsea. You got to
Manchester
see,
City on
like
a
you said,
whim.
Arsenal. Um, it's just all bad, man. It's just all bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's some good competition. So
One more update for you guys. For those that are waiting for basketball season to pop up, preseason, Cavs and the Bulls are playing. Cavs just hit a three-pointer, so they are up 99, 98, 95.
ooh,
Who was it? Kevin Pangos made the three-pointer. Uh, I'm just going to be honest. I'm probably not going to watch the Cavs until like December.
mm,
Just being honest. If I do catch a Cavs game, it's because nothing else is on. Uh, I'm not hoping for a lot this year. 20 games. I'm hoping for
true.
30 maybe. I'll take 25, but for
And
those
they are doing a
wondering,
lot better this
go
game than they
ahead.
were the first time.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
played Chicago already and got whoa.
Well, this
Hard.
is a closer game,
This is good to
you
see.
know, and as of right now, preseason wise in the Central, Chicago is up, but if they lose this, uh, you know, everybody will have one loss except for Detroit.
True.
So,
Very true.
like I said, I'm not, I'm not wishing the worst on them, but I'm not expecting a lot just because they've been rebuilding since LeBron left. And for
Right.
those that have a problem with LeBron, this shows you how big and how important keeping the best player on your team, if not the league, is to, you know, the foundation of your team.
True.
Like, man, I get it. Everybody got their feelings on LeBron, but what you can't deny is the fact that LeBron has presence, he has leadership, and the Cavs look like shit without him.
Exactly it, man. I mean, and the
I
thing
just,
is, like, you can see how much different they are of a team without LeBron on it, right? So with the Cavs in
Mhm.
general, and then also the way the Lakers look in the preseason, um, because they're pretty much, saving him for regular season, obviously.
Of
So
course.
you can tell how different of a team they are without him too. Because right now they're 0-3 in the preseason. So once he comes back, they'll be a lot better. So that's the impact
Don't
that
be
he has,
surprised.
man.
Right. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised.
Right.
And we move on from hoops with the update to our final topic, which is the NFL. And of course, my Steelers got the win today, so we're not even going to talk about that. They look good against the Broncos, who are not a bad team.
True.
The entire AFC West looks super, super competitive. Somebody getting beat up on, and it's going to suck when somebody doesn't make it out of the playoffs or make it to the
Mm.
playoffs out of that division.
Speaking of which,
Um,
two
yeah,
of them
the
took
can
losses today.
yeah, the Raiders took a loss, and the Chiefs are actually losing right now to the Bills, 13-10, and with 7:45 left in the second.
Mm-hmm.
So
Man.
I'm not going nowhere with that one. We'll see how
Mm.
that one plays out. But as far as the
Yeah.
rest of the scoreboard goes, uh, you know, the Packers get the Bengals in overtime after Mason Crosby misses like 5 kicks.
Man, he missed 3 field goals, and the one that
Talk
put them in overtime.
talk about bad luck. Like the Bengals, like he had the kicker had it, and it hits the pipe. It hits the little string on the upright. Like how
Mm.
much bad luck do you need?
It's crazy, man. I mean, and they've been balling this year too, man.
They
Seriously,
have,
like
they
Bengals
have.
been doing pretty well, and
I did
for
not
that to
expect
happen,
this.
oh, me neither. They've been dogfighting everybody this year. You know what I'm saying? Like it has not been any kind of blowouts.
Hmm.
They've been definitely hanging in with it. Burrow has all the confidence in the world. You know,
Man,
when he got mic'd up that last game, he said, "Man, put it in my hands, see what happens." That was his statement. So that boy ready, and it's amazing to see because like he definitely has proven that he was the guy worth drafting at QB.
of course.
They need a couple more offensive linemen still. Once they get that
They
going,
just lost one, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. You know, receiving core looking pretty good. I mean, they got some good pieces, man. They'll be scrappy this year, and then we'll see what they do next season. You know what I'm saying? Because they ready to do something different. It's cool to see
Yeah.
the division be this competitive. Um, but yeah,
Speaking of
man.
the division, speaking of the division,
Mhm.
Steelers bounce back. The Browns, we'll talk about them in a second. But the thing about this is now that you've seen everybody's punch for the most part, Colts have the Ravens. Well, Colts visit the Ravens tomorrow.
Mhm.
Who do you see as of right now? Who do you see at the top of this division?
Of the AFC North,
Yes.
you know, I don't trust the Ravens yet. Um, they're not consistent this year at all. They'll have a really good game and then a really bad game,
Yeah.
or they'll struggle against someone like the Lions. And you're just like, I don't know what y'all are doing. I have no idea. They're not the same team every week this year. They're not. It's kind of weird. It's
That's
like,
true. That's true.
your quarterback, this is his fourth year. You picked up some key pieces in the wide receiving game. You did suffer two losses to some really decent backs. That sucked. I will say that
Man,
sucked. Um,
that's
but
heartbreaking.
at the same time, man, like they're not the same team every week. It's almost like what team are you going to see show up tomorrow night against the Colts?
Yeah.
Now, granted, the Colts are struggling a lot more than I thought they were going to, even with Carson Wentz. I thought they would be better than this. I mean, this is disappointing. The way that
Mr.
they're
McShay
playing right
Wentz.
now is the way that I thought Cincinnati was going to be quite
Clearly,
honest.
clearly we
And
mixed
it's
up
a
who was
clear
gonna look
flip.
like shit.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't understand where this is coming from. So you got that, right? The fact that they're playing the way they're playing and then you don't know what you're going to get from Baltimore. I can't say that it's going to be like a blowout or anything, but, I feel like it'll go either way tomorrow night because it's so unpredictable. As far as the division goes, I mean, I see right now, I think it's more so going to be a battle between Cincinnati and Cleveland. I don't know why it is like that. It's very hard to say out loud. It makes me sound confused about what I'm looking at because I am confused by it. But did not predict that before the season started. Did not have the Bengals anywhere in the top two. I felt like they would be like either third or fourth.
Mm.
But I feel like they have a legitimate case to fight for the division this year.
But what
It's kind of
I,
scary.
I don't want to burst any Browns fans bubble, but I want because I saw this all last week when they won.
Hmm.
Uh, we saw the Browns at the top of the division, and it's already week 4 or whatever, and I wondered if in my head, I'm sitting up here watching these posts on social media, and I'm like, I wonder if
Oh man.
anybody. Wait, hold up, hear me out.
Hmm.
I sat up there and I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if anybody knows. Ain't nobody played a division game yet outside of the Steelers. So
That's
it's
true too.
easy. It's easy. I take that back. The Steelers and the Bengals had to see each other early. So everybody's like, yeah, we're at the top of the division. Ain't nobody. You can be at the top of the division. Ain't nobody played a division game yet. That's what's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Those are the games that are important. Don't get me wrong. 17-game schedule, you gotta win against the tough teams. You gotta win against the teams you're supposed to beat. But
True.
if you want to make it out, the important part of your schedule is your division. How you gonna be at the top of something and ain't nobody played but two other teams, and neither one of them was you?
Yeah.
So
And
as of right
that's your
now,
guaranteed ticket.
Cincinnati, by default, if we're taking away the non-conference, the non-division part of this schedule or these standings, Cincinnati's at the top of the division because they're one game up on everybody.
Hmm.
So
That's why I
everybody,
was
and then,
like, ooh.
and you know what? That's what I meant to talk to you about. I ran into a friend of ours, mutual friend. You might have known
Hmm.
him. His name is Terry. Ran into Terry at the John Hay game we covered this week. John Hay Collinwood.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Collinwood did not make it out of that game. Uh, it was bad, and it was also senior night and homecoming for John Hay. So yeah.
Yeah.
But and you know what? I didn't know John Hay had a mascot. They got a real live hornet.
Oh, wow. Okay. They upgrade now. I've never seen a mascot on their sideline ever.
Neither have I. So
Wow. Okay.
we both learned something this weekend. I actually put it up on our social media.
Man.
Aside from that, I talked to Terry during halftime of that game, and this man is a advocate. I'm not gonna say he's a strong advocate, but he's an advocate of not having Baker start quarterback. And my question was to him, why do you say that? And he said he's not accurate. He doesn't know when to deliver the ball. Everything everybody else has been saying.
Hmm.
The funniest thing about this, and this, like I said, I love Terry to death, but the funniest thing about what he said was, did you see Case Keenum in preseason? He was 80% completions. And I looked at Terry and I said,
Wow.
in preseason
Preseason.
against preseason against dudes you ain't gonna see no more. So my question is,
Wow.
with the Browns losing today and Baker having a great showing, because Baker did have a great showing. Let's just look at reality.
He was statistically better than Herbert, actually.
Yeah.
He's had less passes and less yardage, but statistically, he was better today.
And if I'm not mistaken, did he not for the what is it? A couple games now, has he not thrown an interception?
Nope. He still only has two for the whole year, and
So
he
he did.
had a higher
So he did
QB rating.
right. So he did not throw an interception this game. Correct.
Nope. And he had a higher completion percentage, too. He only was 23 of 32.
Okay.
So,
So with that being said, and he also said Case Keenum knows this offense because he had it with Stefanski in Minnesota. Minnesota
so,
and Cleveland are two different fucking teams. Let's just start right there. Excuse my
and who
language, but
started in Minnesota?
it was Kirk Cousins. We all know that.
So it
But
wasn't Case Keenum that started.
no, no, it wasn't. But when Case Keenum came in, he was decent because he knows the offense. But here's my thing. I tried to tell Terry this, but Terry being who he is, I already know how this conversation was going to go. So my question to you is this.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for the sake of discussion, they bench Baker. Do you trust Case Keenum at quarterback for the Browns?
No, I don't.
And why?
Here's the thing with Case Keenum. I mean, yeah, he went 80%, like you said, against guys that weren't going to be playing anymore or even be on the roster. That's what he's supposed to do. Okay. Secondly, do I trust Case Keenum against these AFC North teams, AFC North defenses? No, absolutely not. Has he seen anything on that level? I can't say that he
Mm-mm,
has.
I can't
Also,
either.
the dynamic that Baker has with the receiving core and the trust that everybody has in him, completely different, right? Case Keenum's that guy who's going to kind of just, manage what's going on out there. But when it comes down to getting you that game winner, when it comes down to driving you down the field, I don't think he has that. Yes, he may know the offense more, but that's even more of a reason for him to be, quite frankly, in my opinion, an extra coach.
Hmm.
And then athletically, like, do you see him scrambling? Do you see him getting out of those little situations, or you see him just taking the sack?
Nah,
Do you see him creating the extra plays? Because
I
if
see him
he's
getting beat
if
on.
right, if he has the time, he's a pure pocket guy. If he has the time to throw, he's going to make some good decisions. I'm not going to knock him as a QB,
I am.
but when it comes down to it, is he the guy that's going to get the job done and take you where you want to be? No, he's not. It's a totally different team, like you said, totally different setup. You're not playing in a dome or retractable roof. Okay, there's another thing there.
I forgot all about that.
Because, like, QBs look great when there's no wind blowing, when it's, nobody coming at you, right? When you're
Right?
throwing
Yeah,
against defenses that aren't known for a pass rush, you look
you got
awesome.
a point. Yeah, you
You
got
the
a point.
man. When you got no pressure, you know what I'm saying? Like, where did they even come from? I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, okay, Baker's been in three different offenses, four different coaches, three coaches. And the thing is, like, the way that
Tell him.
he's
Talk your
commanded his
shit.
offense from last year to this year and all the other crap he's went through, Casey Keenum ain't seen nothing like that. And if
Talk
he
your
had went through
shit.
the same thing, he wouldn't even be in the league right now if he went through the same thing.
Talk your shit. I was trying to tell him that if you went through three different coaches and three different systems in 4 years, what would you look like?
What would you look like, right? Would would any other QB look the way Baker does right now, going through all that in their first 4 years? I don't know.
Probably not.
I can't
And
say
and,
that.
and
And then
here's
on
my
top of it
thing.
too, who was reaching out to the Browns for Casey Keenum right
Nobody.
now? Who
Not
wants
a
him as their
damn.
starter right now?
Not a damn. Not a
Just
damn.
saying, man. That's another thing. Who was like,
And,
oh, I gotta have Case Keenum? No,
but here's another thing I brought up because I want people to understand that we pay attention to this sort of thing, and I'm not gonna say we believe in it, but it's very stickler of us to do this. Can you remind me what college Case Keenum came from?
Houston.
How many Houston quarterbacks historically have lasted longer than a decade in the NFL?
None that I can remember, but he might be the first one.
And at 62% career completion percentage, do you honestly think, me being a Steelers fan, you honestly think I'm going to sit here and agree with you that put Case Keenum in over Baker? It's not happening.
No, it's
It's
not.
not happening. Because
It's
first
not.
off, because first off, I could think of outside of Case Keenum, I could think of three other quarterbacks, maybe two or three other quarterbacks from Houston that have not panned out in the NFL. David Klingler and Andre Ware.
There it is.
Now,
That's it.
now, for those watching and for those paying attention or that are gonna watch this in the future, I want you to pay attention to this. Andre Ware was the first black quarterback to win the Heisman Trophy. He went to Houston. Before Houston had a quarterback, Andre Ware was that guy. Like Andre Ware set all of the passing records that Case Keenum now owns.
Hmm.
Literally. After Andre Ware comes David Klingler. Klingler also set records or broke records that Andre Ware set. He also got cursed to a bad team with the Bengals. Ware got cursed to the Lions. Even though he had Barry, that was all they had.
True.
Fast forward 30 years, you get Case Keenum. Case Keenum breaks everybody's record. Here's the problem with that. Houston historically is a pass happy offense, football wise. It's pass happy. That's all they do. You ain't never heard of a running back coming out of Houston in the last 20
No,
years.
no.
So the offenses are set up for quarterbacks to succeed. When you have seen Case Keenum in action, have you seen an NFL franchise quarterback? The answer is no. Ronnie shaking his head. He already said it. The answer is no.
Uh,
So why on earth would anybody be calling for Baker's head, who's playing hurt, by the way, and today outplayed arguably the second best quarterback in the NFL? I have nothing
yeah,
against Tom
because
Brady. I got nothing against Tom Brady, but Tom Brady he's old. Even though he just threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, Pat Mahomes is still that guy. Now, as far as championships goes, it's obviously Tom. But as far as dynamics go, it's Pat Mahomes. Until somebody dethrones him, there's nothing else you can say. But right
right,
now, Baker gives you the best chance to win. Not just win in the playoffs like he did last year against the Steelers. He gives you the best chance to win, period. You throw
absolutely,
Case Keenum, you throw Case Keenum into the fire right now and let Baker heal, it's not gonna look good and you're gonna be playing catch up.
and that's the
Because
difference, man.
and that's what I was trying to tell Terry. Like, look, I get it. He knows the offense, but just because he knew the offense don't mean nothing. Hell, Cordell Stewart knew the Steelers' offenses, but he was no Neil O'Donnell. And I hate to say it like that. He was more dynamic than Neil, but he sucked as a quarterback. Just call it what
Hmm.
it is.
Yeah, that's
The
what.
only thing that helped him with the Steelers was the fact that you could line him up everywhere. You could line him up at quarterback, put him at running back, throw him out there at receiver. That's why his nickname was Slash. And you're
Exactly
talking.
it.
This is a Steelers fan talking and telling you the truth. If we needed a first down pass or a fourth down pass, we going to Neil O'Donnell. If we need somebody to throw a trick play in there, we going to Cordell. You look at the difference between Cordell and Neil O'Donnell in those years they were together. The Steelers' record is totally different with each quarterback.
Hmm.
I guarantee you, for those that are calling for Baker to get benched and he's not, don't re-sign him and don't do all of this, I'm telling you right now, if y'all keep calling for this man head and y'all fuck around and lose him, this team will be set back another 10 years because
Yep,
it's going to be hard to replace him.
it's gonna be real hard. And the thing is, like, he's fiery. He's literally trying to do everything that he was tasked with. He gets better
Hmm.
every year, and it's going to take some time. And I get it. There are some other teams who have hit the nail on the head. They had a rookie come in like year two, they're balling out of their world, whatever. I get that. That happens, right? At the same time, you got to give some guys time to do what they need to do. This is only his second year in the same system.
Thank
You
you.
know, like I don't understand what type of player you think is going to come in and be a master at the offense after 1 year. It don't work like
I
that.
do.
Did
I do.
Mahomes master the offense the first year? No,
No,
he
they
did
dumbed it
not.
down so he could, so
They
he could
dumbed it down to
manage.
what he ran at Texas Tech so he could manage it, and then they threw everything else in after that. Same thing with Lamar. They dumbed it down for him too, and they allowed him to run more.
Hmm.
Does he still run? Yes, but he is definitely
A better passer
passing
than he was
more
when
than
he
he
came in.
was.
Yeah.
And it took time. 4 seasons with the same coach. Oh my God, what a difference that makes for both of those guys.
Yeah.
They've had the same guys, they've had the same system with different dynamics added to it each year as they grew. They're adding to their potential. They've had time to develop these two guys.
Hmm.
Say what you want. They've had more time in their systems. This is this man's second year with the same coach in the same system. You have
Mind
to take
you,
time for that.
mind you, career wise,
Man,
here's a stat for you. Career wise, Baker is better than Case Keenum by 1%.
see, that tells you right there. And then as Baker, correct me if I'm wrong, Hasn't he already eclipsed 10,000 yards passing?
He's
Or is he
two
close to
thousand
it?
yards. No, he's 2,000 yards beyond that. He's 12,000.
So he already has the yardage, right? Because they were saying like with this kind of guy, and just looking at Cleveland in general, the last 2 years, yes, you've seen decent receiving cores, right? In his
Mm-hmm.
first 2 years, they were building on that.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have a lot to work with, but you
At
bring a
all.
guy like that in, and to see this man throw for what was his rookie season, 3,400
Rookie
yards, broke
season,
like the rookie record
2018. Yeah, 2018. He was 6-7 record wise. He was 63 percentage. He had 3,000 and some change. He had 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. His QB rating was 93.
as a rookie. With what receiving core?
None. On top of
You know what I'm
that, he did.
saying?
On top of that, he did even better the next year. Even though he went 6-10, his percentage was 59%. He was 3,000 close to 4,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. His rating was still a 78. That's almost 80%. 2020, he went to 95%. He went to 95 as a QB rating. He dropped in passing yards as far as he still eclipsed 3,000. He was 62% completion percentage, and he was 26-8 as far as touchdowns and interceptions go. And
26-8.
now this year, he's at 66% completion percentage, which is
Increase.
his highest as of right now, currently, career wise. He's got 1,000 yards, and he's got 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and his passer rating is 89.7,
So here's the thing.
which is his third highest, by the way.
So here's the thing. Efficiency wise, he's improving.
Mm-hmm.
His completion percentage is going up. He's only making the throws that he needs to make because we have to also remember Cleveland has a damn good rushing attack, right?
Ain't had
What
that since.
QB do you know is going to be throwing up 4,000, 5,000 yards when you got them two studs in the back behind this offensive line? You don't have to.
Ryan Tannehill got Derrick Henry. He still ain't got that.
Well, see, that's another thing, right? So looking at this, Baker's improving every year. He already's at 12,000 something yards for his career so far, right? Going to his fourth
Mm-hmm.
season. And quite frankly, he's the best fit for the offense right now. He's the best fit for this offense right now, right? This is the guy that you want to have for this offense, for Stefanski's offense. I don't see anyone else coming in here all of a sudden just taking over and playing at the same level, dominating the same way. And say what you want, there are some guys out there, people are like, oh man, if we had this dude. You don't know that. You
You
don't
really
know
don't.
that. They are
You don't.
thriving where they are. They are thriving where they are. Okay. And the thing is, there's more to it there's more that goes into it than just the person or just the
Yeah.
talent behind it.
It's got to
Right?
be the chemistry. It's got to be the
Chemistry,
quarterback.
man.
He's got to
Right.
know. He's got to know what he's doing. He's got to know the system. Yeah, Case Keenum know the system, but how often did you see Case Keenum on the field in Minnesota?
Thank you. Yeah, he
They
knows the
went out.
system, but they went
They
after
went
they
out.
went after Cousins.
Yeah, they went and got Kirk Cousins and put him in a high ass contract and sat that guy behind him.
Right, and there's a
So
reason for that.
so why what I'm trying to figure out is why are these
Man,
Browns fans sitting up here saying, I think Case Keenum does this, I think Case Keenum does that. If Case Keenum was that good, why isn't he starting for somebody?
exactly. He could be starting somewhere else if he was that good,
Why he ain't getting no
Or
phone calls?
right, or better yet, here you go. The fact that Carolina felt that they had to trade with the Jets and bring over Sam Darnold,
That show you
like
your
like
career right
like
there.
that show you your career, bruh. That right there should tell you. That right there should tell you, okay, maybe he ain't the guy because they had to trade for a QB from a Jets team that has done nothing
And
and
still ain't
for
doing
God knows
nothing.
how long, right? And then they felt like that was the guy they had to go trade for to get.
To
That
be
should tell
fair,
you something right there.
to
He
be
ain't
fair,
bad, but
right? He ain't bad. He was in a fucked up situation. There's a total
oh yeah, for
difference.
sure. And he's doing great now.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic. But I just wanted to be fair because Darnold was in a very fucked up situation in the Jets,
For
and now
sure.
he's out of that. And out of so many odd quarterbacks, so many odd backup quarterbacks, Case Keenum is who y'all calling for as Browns fans. I'm
Right.
not understanding it. I'm not understanding it. I'm not understanding why when Case Keenum has shown he's not that guy. Number two, just because he knows the system, he knows Stefanski's offense, don't mean he gonna know what to do and how to do it in the AFC North. I'm sorry for you Browns fans that's delusional and just want Case Keenum in because y'all think Baker sucked. Baker's playing hurt, number one.
Yep.
Number two, he's still productive playing hurt. And while y'all mad that he playing hurt, think about this. One, the torn labrum ain't in his throwing shoulder. It's in his left shoulder. That's the first real important thing y'all need to know. So the throwing motion is gonna be off because he's not postured. The
Hmm.
second thing y'all need to know is if Baker go down, this season going down too. Because
Yep.
Case Keenum ain't that guy. You can hand it off Chubb and Hunt 400 times a game. But if they know what's coming in the AFC North, they're not going nowhere. So y'all better
Nope.
stop with this. And I'm telling you, I'm knocking on wood because I'm pulling for the Browns to make good on my prediction. But if Baker go down, this season going with him. So y'all better stop with this. I'm calling for his head. He need to be benched for Keenum because Keenum ain't your answer.
He ain't the
Y'all better.
answer.
And y'all, for those that are talking about we don't need to pay Baker, yeah, you do.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. I heard this on the radio about a couple of days back. I think it was Thursday or Friday. Why don't we just why we let Baker walk this year and get Aaron Rodgers? Why?
Why would you do that? What's the
Here's the thing.
point?
Here's the thing. They want Aaron Rodgers because they want to win right now. But you're not gonna win right now with Aaron Rodgers because you're not gonna be able to pay Aaron Rodgers.
Right. You can't pay him, and then he got to relearn the offense. He got to learn the whole thing from scratch too.
That and what you'd have to pay Aaron Rodgers is not worth it for this the age that he's at right now. It's not worth it.
Nope. Nope. Here's another one for you. We talking about chemistry. This man has been throwing to. Initially, it was let's go back to the beginning of when Favre left, and it was all Rodgers, right?
Hmm.
You started out throwing to Donald Driver. You were throwing to Jordy Nelson. Eventually, Randall Cobb comes in, who they got back
So that's
by
three.
request of Rodgers, and then Devontae Adams, right?
So he's had
So
stability.
he's had stability. The same people have stuck with him for the length of their career until they went somewhere else. But who left? They left. He stayed, and he kept throwing to the same people that he had that stuck around. Remove him from Green Bay,
They don't go
and you
nowhere.
okay? It's different. It's totally different, right? Because the thing is, you take him out of Green Bay, they ain't going nowhere, even with the people they got left. Then you put him somewhere else like Cleveland. Okay, the chemistry ain't there yet. You got Odell, you got Jarvis, Peoples Jones. These are people that Baker has put in hella hours with in the offseason, and you can tell. You can tell.
Hmm.
Can Rodgers do that? Okay, maybe he can do that, whatever. But will he be able to get on the same page with them? I don't know. And quite frankly, it's different generations we're talking about too.
Yeah.
Can he relate to those receivers? Can he motivate them the same way? You know what I'm saying? There's so many different factors that go into
Man.
this.
Man.
It's just different. So point blank, here's another one for you. The reason why it works for Brady In Tampa, look who playing with him. AB played with him in New England. Even though it was a short period of time, that was his go-to guy for that year.
He got Gronkowski there too.
Gronk came down there too, right? You got them two guys who already know Brady, how he throws, what he does, how he
There's a
leads them
level
to
of
get certain
comfort there.
balls, level of comfort. Everybody else can jump on board with that, right? So you got AB talking to Mike Evans, Godwin. They're like, look, man, this is what Brady does, man. They can school them dudes on what to do. It makes sense. He brought guys with him. If you're going to sit, okay, and this is something that's not going to happen, but I'm just going to entertain the people that feel like they need to call for Baker's head. If you're going to get someone like an Aaron Rodgers, guess what else got to come with him? Cobb and Devontae Adams. That ain't happening.
Yeah,
That ain't
it's
happening.
not.
That ain't
Not
happening,
even.
cuz that's what you
Not
got to
even.
do to get to even get him to even work here. That's what you would have to do. You would have to get those two guys
That's
to come with
way
him.
too.
And how you
And
doing
no,
that?
and
You dropping
nobody
your whole
want
receiving core. That's what you're doing.
you,
You
and you
dropping
can't.
everybody.
You
And you
can't.
can't. You can't. It
Yeah,
don't make
I, I,
sense.
I didn't think about that part because
That's
he
how
may want
guys
them to come
transition
with
to
him.
different teams at that level. You bring people with you. That's what happens. We've
I
seen it.
didn't think about that. I did not think about that.
Aaron
But
Rodgers. Oh my God.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's I'm not mad, but that's the common theme with how Baker's been playing and how people perceive Baker's play. And it's like, dude, it's 5 games into the season of a 17 game season now. Number one. Number
Mhm.
two, let's look at reality here. It ain't all Baker's fault. Baker's offensive line is damn near depleted now. 2 people got hurt today. We don't know the extent of the injuries. Jedrick Wills did not make the trip at all.
Nope. He got hurt last week off
Yeah.
of a questionable game. Right?
Okay.
He was already
So
questionable going into it. And then Hubbard
right.
had season-ending surgery.
Well, there you
That
go.
was his
So
backup.
that was 200. There's 2 injuries right there, and you had the 2 today. Number two, Baker's hurt, and for the people that are saying, it's his shoulder. Yes, it's his shoulder. It's not his throwing arm. It's his left arm because Baker's right-handed, which means when he sits back to drop back to throw, all of the force is not just coming through his throwing arm; it's coming off of his left shoulder too.
Just snap
So
that
that
boy back.
motion, yeah, so that motion is gonna look funny now until that heals. If Baker goes down for surgery, y'all screwed. Y'all are
That's
screwed.
it. That is it.
It's,
That
you
is
might as
it.
well tank. You might as well tank it if you gonna throw Keenum in. And like I said, I have nothing against Case Keenum, but look at the historical facts. Historically, Houston QBs do not pan out well in the NFL.
They don't.
Historically, Case Keenum has been a backup. He has not been a starter since what? His second stint with the Rams, maybe?
You see how that went.
Yeah. And thirdly, Baker's stats are completely better. His stats are better than Case Keenum.
And then since you brought the Rams up, oh, let me hit that one hard too. Case Keenum had a second opportunity with the Rams, right? He could have been a starter and everything, right? Guess what happened there? He wasn't the guy, and the Rams felt like they had to go and get Jared Goff, who was no longer the QB with the
Because
Rams. They traded
because he's
him
stuck
for
in
Matt Stafford.
because he's stuck in Detroit.
They stuck him with Detroit. They went and got Matt Stafford, who was
Now,
older and still more
I will
capable.
say this. I will say
Man,
this. Wait, hold up. To be fair, I will say this.
okay.
Case Keenum, for a career since 2007, because that's when Case Keenum came out. Actually,
Yep.
no. Wait. That's his NCAA stats. My bad. I'm gonna go look at these. Okay,
2012, 2013,
2011, 2011.
2011.
So here's the skinny on Case Keenum. For a career, his highest completion percentage was 67%. Career lifetime, his percentage is 62.3. He's at 14,000 passing yards, 75 touchdowns, 47 interceptions. His rating is 85.2. The only problem with this is he has not thrown over 67% since 2019. Actually, no, he's not thrown over 60%. My bad. He's not thrown over 60% since 2019.
That ain't the guy you want, man. That ain't the guy you want. I'm telling you. It's just crazy, man. And it's just like, why would you call for a guy to not be in the game no more that puts your team in the best position to actually win right now? That makes no sense. And the thing is, okay, he like I've heard it all, man, and it just makes me mad because it's like they're still saying all this crap about him, like, oh, he's a game manager, this and that. You need a damn game manager. You need one. When
Yeah.
your rushing attack is as good as it is, you need a game manager because guess what? That's the bread and butter of it because that's what makes the bootlegging and the play action work. You have to have a running game. Otherwise, nobody's going to bite on that crap. They're going to be like, oh, look at him trying to fake the ball off to somebody. Okay, I'm going to stay where I'm at. I'm going to drop
Yeah.
back because I know he's about to throw it to Odell.
Here's something else.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Here's something else. Case Keenum's only went over 20 touchdowns in his career once.
oh my God. See, that's what I'm talking
Look,
about.
if this is accurate, and I'm believing that it is, he's only went over
Crazy.
20 touchdowns one time in his
See,
career as an NFL quarterback.
that's that stuff right there, man. I
And
mean, you figure you,
that was 2017 in Minnesota, and that was 1 year in Minnesota.
and they
He
still
had
thought they
three.
had a.
He spent 3 years in Houston, and in Houston, he didn't go over. He only went over 1,000 yards one time. He got a first stint in St. Louis in 2015. He only had 828 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think that's the year he got hurt.
Yep.
Spent 1 year with the Rams. He threw for 2,000 yards. That was 2016. Spent 1 year with Minnesota, went over 3,000 yards, went over 20 touchdowns. That was
You
his
said
one.
2016 with the Rams.
Yep,
Okay, so that's when they drafted
golf.
Gurley.
Yeah, Gurley and them. So, yeah, that was Gurley. My bad. Not golf. It was Gurley. So he spent 1 year in St. Louis. Well, he's actually, I take that back. He spent 2 years with the Rams because they left St. Louis. I had to remember that.
Mhm.
He spent 1 year in Minnesota. And Minnesota to date, passing wise, was his best year touchdown wise. His best year passing wise, as far as yards was concerned, was the next year in Denver. That was 2018. Washington, he went back down to 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. What do you do with 1,000 yards? That's a running back. That's running back
Right,
stats, man.
like that's nothing, man. The passing game, like, oh my gosh,
I'm leaving it alone.
yeah, I
I'm
can't, I can't. It's painful to even think about, man. But like the fact that he's had all these opportunities that didn't pan out. I get it. He got hurt that first time, but after that, you had your opportunity, and they still felt they had to go and get somebody else twice with two different teams. You know what I'm
so
saying?
what is
Like,
it? So what is it about you? Excuse me. So what is it about you as a quarterback that these coaches or these organizations don't trust?
and that's something that the people got to look at, man. So why they calling for Keenum? It's like y'all ain't even thinking back to what he's done previously. You know what I'm saying? Like, and okay, okay, yeah, he knows the offense, but he already had a shot in Minnesota, and they had to go and get, you know,
Kirk
they had to
Cousins.
go and get Kirk Cousins. Like,
And what's crazy about that is Kirk
man,
Cousins' stigma has been following him since Michigan State. He can't win the big one.
nope, not at
Yet,
all, man.
yet Kirk Cousins has got the bigger contract. He's still a starting quarterback. Something ain't right about that situation.
It ain't right at all, man. You know. It ain't right at all, bro. I mean, they barely beat Detroit today.
Man,
You know what I'm saying? Like, why y'all barely beat? Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh. You know what? Here's my thing about that. This is my last thing I'm gonna say. And I know will say a couple things about Detroit, but looking at them overall, what I will give credit to is their defense is like middle of the road. It's not like the bottom of the barrel. They've
hmm
been definitely keeping them guys in games. You see how well they handled Baltimore and a couple of the games they've had here and there this season, and they kept them in it. The offense just isn't working right now. And the thing is, you just took on Jared Goff, who actually, in my opinion, was the crutch for the Rams. You
yeah,
know, that guy wasn't it either. I mean, he was statistically going to get you some stats, and a lot of that has to go with Cooper Cup. Okay, let's just call it what it is. It's a great
hmm
receiver, by the way. But the thing is, though, you remove him from a situation, now you got Stafford in there. You're like, okay, we can see the difference, right? Because Stafford was in a bad situation because they didn't do anything for him after Megatron retired. Hello, that was the last taste of the playoffs that y'all had
man, that was
because
10
of
years ago.
Megatron 10 years ago, and he's gone. And it's like, well, what you gonna do? You gonna bring me somebody else? Like he could have easily did the same crap that Rodgers pulling in Green Bay because that's
And he
the
should
same
have.
thing, and he
He
should
should have.
have because he deserved to, because he already proved like, look, if you give me the right people, I can get you the wins. But what y'all trying to do? Y'all bringing in freaking Golden Tate? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't want to knock Tate like that, but
I was
compared
about
to
to say, for
Megatron,
those watching, Golden Tate was
compared
not
to
a bad
Megatron,
receiver, but
right?
compared to
But compared to
Megatron,
Megatron,
it's
that's what you
not.
gonna
It's not.
replace me with. That's what we
Yeah,
doing. We going to get
yeah,
Golden Tate after I just played with this Hall of Fame receiver. You
yeah.
just you're gonna give me Golden. I'm sorry, man. I need to shut up. I need
No,
to shut up
it's the truth. It's the truth. It is the
because he's
truth.
not a bad
Um,
receiver. I don't want to make it seem like Golden
no,
Tate is
and,
garbage.
and like I
Like,
said, I know I'm losing my voice, but I know I'm losing my voice.
sorry.
But like I said, it's the truth. It is the truth.
Mm.
You replace one of the greatest generational talents at that
God.
position with a guy who's not up there, and that's not his
Oh,
fault. But that's some
it's
big
not.
shoes to fill. That's some big shoes to fill. Big hands, big shoes, big helmet.
Big
It's a big
everything,
uniform to
yeah.
fill.
Bruh.
So
But now,
it's not Tate's fault. It's nowhere near Tate's fault. Tate did the best he could given the situation.
but now
Now,
you're in a situation where you get to play with Deshaun Jackson and Cooper Cup, and you got Aaron Donald on the other side. It's just, I mean, he looking his chops like I get a second opportunity.
yeah,
This is
breath
the
of fresh
new
air.
part of my career. Like, ooh, I feel young again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he balling like it too. He look pretty good, man.
He
But
looks
it's like,
happy. He looks
but
happy.
that's what he should have
He
had 5, 6 freaking years ago.
he left that bad relationship with that ugly girl and got with Vanna White, and he living lit up now.
He upgraded hardcore, bro. Man.
All right,
Oh man.
Final update in the Sunday night game. Bills
Mm-hmm.
are up 24-13 over the Chiefs at halftime. Can't say we didn't see that coming.
Man,
Um,
Chiefs look. Mm,
Tampa Bay actually loses this one. And final in 13, Vasquez hits a walk-off home run for Boston, and Boston wins 6-4. So they now lead the DS series 2-1. And it is tied in Houston. Well, actually, in Chicago, my bad. It's tied in Chicago at the top of the fourth. Astros and White Sox are tied at 6. Uh, I still got Houston winning that series, even if White Sox put up a fight. Like Houston just has too much everything, too much hitting, too much firepower at the pitching staff. It's just, I think this, the AL playoffs is going to go down to who's got to travel to Boston, not to Boston, but who's got to travel to Houston because that's the way it's
true.
looking right now.
True.
As
I agree
much
with that.
as much as I love the way the Rays play, you can't give up walk off home runs in a series like this to Boston because that gives Boston momentum, and that's the last thing you want to give Boston.
And here's my thing too. Like when it came to Chicago, I mean, I saw them winning like two games in this series, only because of like they've been they've been they've been battle tested in terms of like the different pitching they've seen throughout the year, and like just with the Central in general. I felt like they've seen a lot of really talented pitchers leading up into this. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like that was enough to at least get them there or to get them a couple of wins. The bats, however, and suspect how they are like in the outfield. I like you said, I don't see them winning the series. They definitely got some holes they got to fill, obviously, but by default, man, I mean, they're there because how they division play was, I guess. Oh my gosh,
Well,
whatever.
here's the thing you got to remember. This 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 playoff, outside of the other DS with Chicago and Houston,
Yeah,
playing the team you done seen 100 times this year.
that's true too.
You playing the team you done already seen. So it's hard to be the team that you done seen all season in the playoffs. And I feel like this series, you don't want to give any kind of momentum to Boston because they feed off of that.
Oh yeah,
And, and because this walk-off home run in a late game, because that's basically what it was a late game win, they're going to take that momentum into the next game. Now, the problem for Tampa Bay is how do you bounce back? How do you bounce back? You already know, you know, I got a feeling by the end of the night, Houston's going to pull this out.
hmm
If you got to go to Houston, you about to have problems. You might as well just start throwing at batters or something because like
right.
Houston's pitching staff is so scary. Like it doesn't matter who's on the mound. The problem is everybody is like is outstanding. The control, the velocity, the pitch
hmm
placement, like them being ahead in the count, them's all problems if you're an opposing batter. So how do you prepare for that? Like I get it. I want Tampa Bay to come out of this and see Houston because I feel like Houston, the only kryptonite Houston has is Tampa Bay.
hmm
But if Tampa don't bounce back from this late game loss, they may not bounce back from the series. They may not bounce back in the series. So I'm thinking like they gotta do something.
No, I agree with that, man. I just feel like the time is now if they're gonna do something, but if they don't, man, that's it. That's it for them.
Yeah, because they lose a couple players due to contract issues, I believe, after this year.
Oh well. Oh man. Okay. Well.
I don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that, but I do believe that they lose a couple, at least two players due to contract issues.
mm,
And finally, you were right. Cavs lose to the Bulls 102-101.
Damn, man. Golly. I mean, I will say this: they played them closer this time around because last time I think it was what 40 a 40-point loss or something crazy. I was looking at that first
Doesn't
game. I
matter.
was like, ugh, this is this
Doesn't
is
matter.
this is what I'm looking for. But
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's the Cavs. Don't
hey, it's
expect
all in
nothing
the
this
hopes
season.
of Ricky Rubio. You know,
Yeah, all right. If you're a Cavs fan, don't put too much stock into this. All right, I'm just throwing that out there. Don't say I didn't know.
oh,
You know,
Ricky
hell,
Rubio. I gotta relax,
hey,
bro. What?
hey. Being honest, if we still had a WNBA team, you better put some hope in them because that'd be your only bet in basketball season.
They shouldn't have let that let man. That's terrible. Like you figure for the short period of time that we did have them, and for them to actually get to the WNBA finals, and I mean, of course they couldn't stop the Houston Comets. It's the Houston Comets, that was the
I'm just
squad
saying.
back then.
I'm just,
Can you stop
I'm
them three? That was
just, I'm just
talk about a
saying.
big three.
I'm just saying. If
Them
you a
girls was
Cavs
bad.
fan, I'm just saying. If you a Cavs fan, don't put no stock in the Cavs just yet, man. Give it about another 17 years before we get to that. Wait till Bron Jr. come out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
Oh
that's
man.
yeah, that's what we're looking at, man. Matter of fact, I wonder what pathway he would take. Like, is he gonna do a year at an actual school, or is he gonna try to do the whole like I'm gonna play a year
Who
overseas or some
knows?
crap and come
Well,
back? I
you
kind of
know what?
wonder.
I think they got rid of the one and done rule, so I think you can come straight out of high school again. You got to look that up. But if I'm not mistaken, I do think they've altered that rule a bit. So we will see.
That's
We
what's
will
yeah,
see.
man.
Uh, well, that concludes this. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube as we are still streaming the Senate League games. We got about two more, and then the Senate City Championship, which is October 28th. This week, I think we are at Dwayne Browder for the East Tech Kennedy game, but we will see what happens as the John Marshall game last week against Rhodes was canceled due to COVID. So
Mm.
we will keep you guys updated on those issues if anything changes. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and like us on Facebook. Like I said, we are on Twitter now, so don't forget to check us out there. And uh, if you are, a Senate person or Cleveland Public School person, all of the Senate Game of the Week games are on our YouTube channel at their own. They got their own little placement. Game of the Week. Uh, Unfortunately, it's not been the way that we thought they'd go because a lot of these games have been blowouts. But you know, every Sunday or any given Sunday, any given Friday, Saturday, somebody wins, somebody lose. So
True, very
the
true.
important thing the important thing was these guys are getting exposure that was sorely needed and long overdue. So we are happy to get these kids exposure any way we can. Um, Shout out to, while I'm thinking about it, shout out to John Hay quarterback Trey Tinsley as he is going to be our Senate League Player of the Week this week. He threw two touchdown passes in the win against Collinwood. Um, I didn't know this, but I didn't know this until I did the research. But John Hayes had a 15 game win streak against Collinwood,
15. Wow. Yikes.
dating dating back. No, actually, I take it back. Not 15. It's 12 now, including last Friday. My bad. It's 12, dating back to the infamous 2001 4th and 40 game.
Oh
Collinwood has
man.
Collinwood has not beat John Hayes since before then.
Wow. So they haven't recovered from that game? Oh
Man, I know,
God, I
right?
was in that
Like
game. I was
I
in that
was, well, I wasn't in it, but I was on the sideline watching the ball go in the air.
that's hard to see. I was in that damn game. I wasn't playing defense, but I was in that game. Yeah,
Man, that was
hard
that
part.
was that was a bad that was a bad game all the way around.
Man, that was a rough season for me. That
Rough
was
season for everybody.
man, that was ooh, that pretty much
Actually,
set us back because what were
we
we
had
like?
beat we had
We were
just
four and
beat
six that year.
no, we were 1-9 that year.
That year, 2001.
Yeah, we were 1-9. We beat John Marshall. That was the only game. That was Coach Short's first year.
Oh my bad. I'm thinking before the year before that.
I take it. Okay, so here we are. We have not. I just found a way to get the schedule. We have not, as a school and as alumni, we have not beaten John Hay since September 10th, 1999. It was a 32-22 win. So we have not beaten
Wow.
John Hay in 14 tries. So I was right, almost 15 tries since 1999.
Dang, that's crazy. It's been over 20 years, bro. Like, what? Yo, that's
Yeah, yeah.
wow. We beat Glenville more recently.
Ha ha ha. I'm about to look that up too, just because you said that.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Wow, 99 though.
Yep.
Oh, that's rough, man. Yeah,
Real
because that
rough.
last year that Coach G was there, we were 4-6, and we were like one game or two games out from actually being able to be in the city championship that year. I remember that, and that loss that we took. We played. I remember playing John Hay. That was a night game, and I think we were at Marshall, and that kind of came down to the last, 3-4 minutes or whatever it was. That was a
Yep.
hard one, man. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
1999. So 14
Mm.
tries. We have not beaten John Hay since 1999. September
That's a
10th, 1999.
that's literally the longest streak that any school in the Senate has against Collinwood right now.
Outside of Glenville,
Because Glenville, I thought they had lost in what year was that?
from what James Braxton told me, shout out to Braxton. From what he told me,
2006.
uh, from what Braxton told me, we have not beaten Glenville since September of 1997. I'm still actively trying to look that up, but that was
Oh,
consider, considering
you
he
know
was
what?
ahead
That
of
was
us.
JV. That was JV.
Yeah.
That was JV. JV
So
beat them. That's right.
considering he was ahead of us, uh, that was the best information I could get. So
You know what? That's right. Yeah, because JV beat them. That was like 2000. That was after us, though. It was like
yeah, it was
I
way
want to say
after us.
Cecil. It was like in the late 2000s or something, man. Oh, 'cause I remember like reading the paper one day and being like, "Oh my gosh, we actually beat them." It was like a shock,
Yeah.
and I was just like, I was at Kent State still. I'm trying to think what year that was now. Man, I mean, it's still been like a decade though. It wasn't like recent, but you know,
Hey, look, I just get the information as best I can, man.
feel it.
I just get, and that's what we came up with. We have, as far back as I could go, we have not beaten John Hayes since September of 1999. It was a 32-22 win.
It's
Heartbreaking, I know. It's tragic.
crazy.
It'd be like that, man. It'd be like that. All right, folks. So that concludes this episode. Again, don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and Twitter. Like, follow us on Twitter. We're still moving. We're still doing big things, and we got most things in the works. And we just appreciate y'all for joining us on this ride because it's been fun. Exhausting, but fun.
Absolutely.
All right. So for 4th and 15, I'm Mel. That's Smooth. Peace.